the second half of an interview with Lavender Castle creator Rodney Matthews.
More news about Stingray Deadly Uprising, the concert, and Captain Scarlet Day.
And we've been hearing from you, our wonderful Podsterons, on podcast@gerryanderson.com.
The Gerry Anderson Podcast with Jamie Anderson, Richard James, and Chris Dale.
I love doing this. It's my favourite time of the week.
You always seem so relaxed.
I
when you
get
do
to
it.
sit down with a couple of mates, people at home, and just talk about Gerry Anderson, watch an episode,
Yeah.
listen to an interview, and then go
read
home.
some viewers' emails and comments.
Yeah. So, this is the Gerry Anderson Podcast. I've just realised we sort of
It
dribbled
is,
into it,
yeah.
haven't we? Remember last week we were all really excited and kind of pumped for it, and now it's like,
Dribble.
oh, well, we're here, let's do it. But is this the Gerry Anderson Podcast?
It is incontrovertibly Gerry Anderson Podcast.
It's yours and our opportunity to talk about all things Gerry Anderson for the next hour and a quarter, hour and a half or so. That's legacy stuff like Thunderbirds, Captain Scarlet, Fireball XL5, Space Precinct. I got it in. But also future stuff, audios, books, concerts.
First Action Bureau.
Transmedia events.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
I think we call them multi-platform these days.
Multi-platforming.
Like
I like
Stingray
it.
Deadly Uprising.
Thingies.
I'm sure there's something missing. The thing that people really come to the podcast for.
Oh, this is the thing with this. We
The
do
red
something with
button.
this.
It's the
don't we?
randomiser, of course. Our opportunity to sit down and watch a random episode of a random Gerry Anderson series.
Yes.
As
and enjoy
chosen.
it.
Yes.
Or
Well,
not, as was the
No,
case
he
last
was-
week.
he was very tolerant last
He was
week.
one around. Yes. We had a word with him after the show and he changed
Yes.
his tune.
I've seen sense. Shall we get a move on and have some Gerry Anderson news?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gerry Anderson News.
It's Gerry Anderson news. Come on.
news,
sorry.
Now.
We're all excited.
Give us.
I forgot. I was just so overwhelmed with
Come on, then.
excitement.
Yeah. You knew it was coming.
Well, the concert is less than a week away.
I can't wait for the
yes.
concert.
Yes,
13th of
indeed.
July, Symphony Hall, standby for Action 2, Tunes of Danger.
Great.
You don't have to say it like that.
Has a
That would be
nice
weird if you
Stingray
do.
theme.
Yes, exactly. The Stingray theme being, well, it's the 60th anniversary of Stingray.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, as we talked about last week, we've got Deadly Concerto, the opening story in the
The opening
Deadly
salvo, you might say.
Salvo, yes, in the Deadly Uprising saga. It's hosted by John Coleshaw.
Yes.
It's a VIP meet and greet if you manage to secure a VIP ticket.
Ooh.
Obviously, the VIPs include John Coleshaw,
Right?
the three of us.
Hey.
Whoa. Wow.
That's pretty V, isn't it?
It is,
We are the
thank
Vs
you.
and the VIPs.
Yes, the eyes
Yes.
being the cast of Deadly Concerto.
Yeah.
Wayne Forrester, Nick Briggs, Jules DeYoung.
Amazing.
And Mark Silk.
Yeah. And the Ps
and
being...
Ben Page, of
Page,
course,
yeah.
our
he'll be
amphibian. Well, yes, the P for Page. And also, James Swallow is coming.
James Swallow.
Author of the upcoming UFO Shadow Play,
Great.
Space
Very good.
1999, the
Great.
Armageddon engine.
Also very good.
Which, by the way,
He's very good.
is very good. They're both very good. But we broke our own embargo on the podcast a few
Yes,
weeks
I
ago.
noticed that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So eagle-eyed listeners, eagle-eared listeners will have noticed that we were talking about it before the news was out there. So, yes,
Only just so, only by a few days.
5 days. But it's a good reason to listen to the podcast because
Yes,
sometimes we're so
exclusives.
disorganised we tell you future news today.
That's right, yeah.
I don't think any of this is future news, though.
Can't wait for the Thunderbirds musical, can you?
Stop it. Richard will be loitering
I will.
awkwardly around the
Yeah.
concert.
With
He may
intent.
interview you, but he will also be carrying with him on his person Paul Shipper's poster. And if you are the first person to accost Richard and say, "Can I have Paul's poster, please?" he will give you Paul's poster. Thank you.
That's right, that's all it'll take.
Yeah, it may not be in one piece by the time it gets there, but he will give it to you.
Mercifully destroyed by Richard James.
Yes, exactly.
Can I say there is also,
You can say also.
at the concert, from 2 p.m. on the Saturday,
Yes.
there
Cakes.
is an exhibition.
Is there?
Yes, of nostalgic items and a few
From the archives.
new items too, but most of it nostalgic from the Malcolm Garrett collection.
Right.
Malcolm Garrett, designer of note,
Yes.
and I think an MBE, possibly.
Oh,
probably.
lovely. Right.
Very nice man. Designed a bunch of album covers from the 80s onwards, very famous things that many of you will know. But we've got lots and lots of stuff from his collection there, books, annuals, toys,
Jigsaw
confectionery
puzzles.
wrappers, jigsaw puzzles, all sorts of stuff that will get your nostalgic juices flowing.
Ah,
And,
And
how
that's-
much does it cost to enter this?
It costs nothing more than £0.
Ooh,
You
wow.
can get into
Bargain.
the exhibition for free all day.
Oh,
It's in the
lovely.
foyer area of Symphony Hall,
so
Birmingham.
even if you're not a ticket holder for the concert,
Yeah.
you can still get in.
Come along and see it.
great.
Also, the Gerry Anderson store will be live from 2 p.m. If you want to come and pick up some concert merch or other merch.
Yes.
Will we have any VIP Eagles?
No. It's a nice idea.
there you go.
They are on a ship currently.
Will we have any of this stuff that's available on the table?
No.
No.
Yes, but I'm not
Yes.
telling you which item.
Oh.
Oh, there you go. Anyway, so much going on. We'd love to see you there. It'll be great. There's some world exclusives there, including Deadly Concerto. It's the only way to experience it live.
Yeah.
So,
But it will be available to see afterwards, hopefully in some form.
well, from the launch day of the concert, you can also pre-order the DVD and Blu-ray version, which should be out, we think, by September.
Okay.
That's very exciting. Anyway, there you go.
Great.
But before all that,
Yeah.
on the 10th of July,
Oh, yeah.
Ah, yes.
it's Captain Scarlet Day.
Captain Scarlet.
Captain
Chris
Scarlet
Dale,
Day.
tell
Yes.
us why the 10th of July is Captain Scarlet Day.
Well, because there are 3, I think possibly 4 episodes of Captain Scarlet all set on July the 10th. And that's because that was the birth date of writer Tony Barwick, who stuck his own birthday into the scripts, I guess hoping that someone would notice and get him some presents. But
like it.
unfortunately, as far as we know, they never did.
But we are talking about it now.
We are talking.
So Captain Scarlet Day is also Tony Barwick Day.
Yes, funnily enough.
Maybe we should make a separate celebration for that.
All right.
We don't have one for this year, but we do have a live stream on the 10th of July, which is hosted by Jack Knoll, and also a special limited edition T-shirt.
T-shirt.
Featuring one of the lovely bits of Ron Embleton art from the closing titles.
Very nice.
That will be available soon. Super limited edition. I can't remember how many. That's great, isn't it? But it is
Yes.
limited.
I might get one.
Very limited.
Sounds
If you
good.
ask nicely, you better be nice to Louise.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I expected to pay for it.
Oh, fine.
Oh, well.
Don't be nice to Louise then. Thank you, Louise, in advance. But there you go. There's plenty of exciting stuff going on. The Stingray sidearm and the VIP Eagle will be arriving in the middle of August. So they are on a boat right now on the way over.
We should try and get a sidearm into display next week, possibly, on the podcast. I think.
Yes, we should
probably
absolutely
do
try
that,
that.
yeah.
We'll see what we can do. So there you go. Lots more coming. James Follow books. More things to be announced. There's so much going on in the background, which will be announced very soon. But for now, you'll have to stand by for action 2. Yeah. Anyway, that's the end of this week's Gerry Anderson news.
That was the news. That was the news. That was the news. That was the. No, I'm not going to bother with that one. No, it wasn't.
It was Dick Spanner inspired.
But he's not seen Dick Spanner. Oh no, he thinks he might have done.
Yeah, but he doesn't know well enough to
I am in the room. You
recognise
don't
that.
have to talk about me in the third
Okay,
person.
I'll try. I'll
You
try
know what
something
he's
else.
like.
Next week, I'll try something else. Something you might be a bit more familiar with. Something more to your level.
No, that's good. That's good. What I like about it, I used to find it quite stressful having to sing the end of the news.
Yeah.
So now I've delegated that.
Oh yes,
Makes
you're
my
finding
life
it less
much-
stressful.
It's lovely.
My stress levels, on the other hand.
Now, shall we all just calm down a bit?
Just
then?
calm down.
Should we just take a moment to bask in someone else's glory? Because I had the
We
great
have Ross
pleasure.
in the room.
I was going to say, is it Ross?
It's not Ross. Because I had the great pleasure of sitting down to talk to the one and only Rodney Matthews of
yes.
Lavender Castle fame and so much else, as we learnt in the first part of my interview last week. Would you like to see the second part?
Do we have a choice?
Rude.
Yes.
I
I'm
would
gonna
like
say,
to.
I'm going to say yes. I
Yes,
think I would.
yes.
Rodney Matthews, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to have you. We had a great chat last week about your early days, really. What a young Rodney Matthews was getting up to. About
Long time ago.
about your inspiration that you took from nature in particular that informed
Yeah.
your work later on, about your time at art college, and making that decision after working for, I think, a marketing firm, you said, for a while,
Yes.
to break away from that, should we say, humdrum life to...
Well, yes, it became singularly boring after a while, but I mean, I learned a lot of disciplines there that are, since
Yeah.
I've realised are very
Yeah.
valuable.
That's
and
right.
they paid me.
Well, exactly right, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you've worked across all sorts of different mediums. Books, we talked about a little last week. For example, this is your latest here, Odney's Otherland, Chronicles from Beneath the Shed. album covers you've done. You worked with Michael Moorcock, which I'd like to talk to you about as well. What's your favourite medium to work for? Illustrating books or one-off pieces or...
Well, it's got to be animation. And the reason I say that is because ever since a small child, I've always been interested in doing my own animation shows, but it's never come about simply because I've had to earn a crust.
Yeah.
So I spent the most of my working life trying to hopefully advancing other people's ideas or putting some flesh on the bones of their own artistic endeavours. And I've been handsomely paid at some points in my career, and sometimes not so. Let down many times, so we won't go into that. I think...
What I'd like to do for this part of the interview is we'll come to talk about Lavender Castle very shortly, which is, I know, will be of interest to our listeners and viewers, but also a couple of projects that got away as well. So tell us, first of all, how you first came into contact with Gerry Anderson.
Yes, it was... I had an art exhibition, a one-man show in Chelsea in 1985, and invited all sorts of different people. And when the show was over, I thought, hang on, Gerry Anderson wasn't there. And then I realised it was because he hadn't been invited. And I thought, that is stupid. Well, how did that go past me? So I set about finding out a bit more about how to get in touch with him. And he was very kind and invited me to Bray, to the studio when he had an office there. And I had an anthology book of my work, and in it was a picture of a goblin, a hobgoblin, a bloated hobgoblin. It was a sort of a slobbish goblin sitting in a chair like this, with a bottle of what has been named Strength since then. It was toasting his feet by a fire. And Gerry said, I like this character. And I can see this as a stop-motion model. Have you any more stuff like this? I said, well, yeah, some stuff. I can certainly bring you. And so that was how it happened.
I see.
And he put his mind to how we could work together at that point. It didn't happen immediately because there was a hiccup. He had a... Do you remember the person he was working with at the time? Without mentioning any names, I didn't get on well with him. Which is a shame because I got on well with most people. And without going into detail, the whole thing, it didn't come to anything because of that.
I see.
But then a bit later, so what I actually did is I'm going to do something anyway. So I went away, and in what time I had available, I designed Lavender Castle. And it was based on a tune I did from my band in the 70s. I won't try and sing it for you. So my singing is abysmal. But it described characters that some of which made their way into the Gerry Anderson show. Leica, for example, was Lady Forget-Me-Not. And there were people. It was a spacey sort of thing. And it was in the days when the Beatles were writing about Semolina Pilchard's climbing up the Eiffel Tower and stuff like that. So I thought, well, if they can do it, I'll do it myself. And so the lyrics were a little bit sort of spacey.
I see. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
And the weird thing is, if I could just sort of jump forward, I'm now doing an album with a friend of mine, Oliver Wakeman. Based on all those original tunes that I did with my band, Squid, back in the 70s. And Lavender Castle is one of the tunes that we'll be working on. I just put down the first drum track on one of the songs.
Amazing.
So it all comes, nothing's wasted. It comes round again. But to go back to and so I had Mary, Gerry's wife, she rang me one day and she said, "Oh, Gerry's changed his working relationship now. He would like to see you because a certain person is not working with him anymore. He'd like to see you with regard to what you discussed before. Could you come up to the studio?"
Huh.
I said, "Yeah, I'll be right there."
Yeah.
And I took up a portfolio
I was
of
gonna
all
say,
these characters.
of course you did.
In fact, can I just
Yes.
show you?
Oh, please.
Just for the viewers.
Yeah.
I like
That's
the
it.
villains
There's your camera
best.
there.
I think a lot of people
Oh, yeah.
do. But this is the type of artwork I showed. This is I actually showed Gerry this piece.
Yeah.
And the piece there and there. Dr. Agon
Yeah.
is pigmented ink on artboard, and this was what Cosgrove Hall used to make these things here.
Yeah. Amazing.
And here's another one here. The two head villains, Short Fred Led.
Yes,
We
great.
talk about him at another time.
Yes,
but,
absolutely. Yeah, lovely.
So I arrived with a portfolio that described not just pictures of all the characters, but a synopsis of what else could be in it. And there's a thatched cottage, and I must have been talking to Gerry one day as he was getting in his car, and Gerry said to me, "I love gadgets." He said, "I love cars that do things like when I get out of my car, the seat adjusts and the steering column comes in to fit me, and this was way back in the day." So he was on the cutting edge of everything.
Yes.
And I said, "Yeah, fine." And it sort of went into the head soup and came out later on as a thatched cottage, because one of the things he said to me, he said, "I like my car to be the nearest thing I can get to a hotel." And I thought, right, okay.
That's great.
And so, the paradox was
Yeah.
very much like what I thought would please him.
Yeah.
And, so I went back with all this stuff, and he took it home and he said, "I love it." Great when someone of his standing says that to you. He said, "I love it. Mary loves it. I'm going to do my best to get this financed." And it took 10 years
Really?
from that point.
Right.
And being, I joined Gerry trying to tout some of our stuff around, and it's not easy,
No, I'm
we were
sure.
thrown out of some of the best places in town. And eventually, Craig Hemmings took it on, Carrington International, and on the basis that, he was at art college. He was the son of Trevor Hemmings, who had loads of dosh,
Right. Which
Had all
helps.
these Pontins and, I think it was Pontins.
I
and,
see.
the other thing, I can't remember. Anyway, so plenty of money flying around, which is what you need for this sort of thing. Very rarely can you get your hands on it.
Yeah.
But Craig Hemmings had been to art college, and he'd seen my posters and things that I'd done and used them as reference for his own work, to which I reminded him that my lawyer was on the way. Joke, of course. That was the way it all started. But it took 10 years, as I said.
That's extraordinary.
And then there were meetings with McKinnon and Saunders about the models and how we should proceed with that. And it was to be shot at Cosgrove Hall.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of stepping stones.
Yeah.
But Gerry was determined he'd do it, and that's the great thing about him. Set his mind on something.
It's important, isn't it, to find someone who's a champion sometimes, I think. Someone who's
Yeah.
actually going to root for you
Yeah.
and make your work
Yes.
come to life somehow.
Yeah, I've only met two people like that who believed in my work. He said at an exhibition of mine. The two people were him and Jim Henson, and Jim Henson went and died, which was not very considerate of him before we actually got to do something. But Yeah, Gerry came to an exhibition of mine once and did an interview with someone, and he said, this work of Matthews, he said it's, what's the exact words? He said it's bizarre in the extreme. And I thought, at last, someone...
He gets me.
Someone who understands me, you know.
That's great.
But he was that sort of person. I mean, when we were working on this show, I don't want to sort of jump the gun here.
Carry on.
You've obviously got other questions.
That's
I
all right.
remember one incident where we were at Cosgrove Hall, and I was having trouble with one of the model makers. Well, set makers and model makers were there hanging around the place. And someone was having trouble with the face of Captain Thrice. I said I wanted it to have some nice wrinkles in it and that. And what you've done here looked like gashes from a cat scratch or something. And I put my foot on I had a pair of leather shoes on. I put my foot on the table and said, like this. This is what his face has got to be like. And I related the story to Gerry, and he said, what? He said, if anybody comes that sort of thing with you again or tries to nose in on anything, let me know and I'll fire them. And I thought, wow, I've arrived, you know.
That's power.
People, so I had to be very careful what I said about people.
Yes, I'm sure you did.
Everybody were, you know, I said, oh, they're all as good as gold.
Honest. Now, we've got some pictures for some other projects that you worked on with Gerry as well that perhaps you can talk us through. Let's have a look at some of these on the screen here. So, first of all, Rodney, from A Christmas Miracle, I think.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about this?
Well, unlike Lavender Castle, that was Gerry's idea completely.
Right.
That's not to say that Gerry didn't contribute original ideas to Lavender Castle, but this was entirely his.
Right.
And it was about the abduction of, or the attempted abduction of Santa Claus, Father Christmas,
Okay.
by Martians that came in flying saucers. A great idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I designed, that was I tried to put a sort of vaguely Celtic look to
absolutely.
Father Christmas there.
That's right.
Yeah, that is a badly designed, a badly drawn border collie that I did. I should have known better because I kept border collies at the time.
Oh, you did?
All I needed to do was get a reference shot.
Yes.
But the main thing about this is the vest it's got on is one of Gerry's, again, his idea.
Yeah.
I can't remember the entire story, but the vest does all sorts of things.
Right.
High-tech things.
Yeah.
Communication things, all sorts of stuff built in.
Right.
Ingeniously into this vest that the dog wears.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the things that you see blind people with their dogs, like that, only high tech, modernistic. I can't remember the antics the dog got up to, but they would have been regular Anderson type of stories of rescue
Absolutely.
and good wholesome stuff.
That's it,
They all ended up with people with smiles on their faces at the end, apart from the villains.
Yeah, of course.
Which is why I like Gerry's stuff, because the villain was always shown to be the villain. You didn't have to sit and scratch your head and think, oh, it's in the right here. You know, it was all good stuff.
That's true. And do you know how far this project in particular got? Were there scripts made or treatments made? Or...
I think, well, I read a script.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to it.
Yeah, it'll be in a box somewhere, no doubt.
The thing is that Gerry sent me stuff on fax paper.
Yeah.
And that disappears.
Yeah.
And he sent me a Lavender Castle movies synopsis.
Right, yeah.
Which I can't read anymore, but I remember a few things about it.
Ah, incredible.
Yeah, but I only did the dog as a means for him to show people to try to get this money that is such a problem in this business.
Absolutely. And finally, for now, let's have a look at Thunderbolt, and let's see if you could tell us a little bit about that. I absolutely see what we were talking about last week about the natural world inspiring your
Yes.
artwork. It looks like some sort of
It's a
malevolent beetle, doesn't
a
it?
beastly
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that Gerry actually saw that footage because
Aha.
it was done by a friend of mine, Sean Naden, and I think Gerry had gone on to the sort of film studio in the sky
Right.
before that was made.
I see.
But it was based on a picture I did called as a poster, the Heavy Metal Hero,
Yeah.
big monstrous train.
Yeah.
And Gerry saw this original, one of my art shows, and he didn't stop talking about it. He said, I must get that in somewhere.
Right.
And the synopsis for the Lavender Castle film had that as a centerpiece.
Ah,
And
right.
it was colossal. That didn't do it justice in terms of the size,
Yeah.
because there are things that gave it scale on the original picture.
Yes.
People. But it was this thing that you entered on a lift up the side of the tender, and you walked into the cab that's about the size of a cricket pitch, or a church hall maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
And actually, he tried to get the money for a film, Lavender Castle, and he said to me, "We're going to have 100 episodes of this." So you can imagine how disappointed I was when things went
Yeah.
sort of belly up.
Yeah.
And yet, you know, it was never forgotten about, because one day Gerry said, "Can you come up to Pinewood? We'd like to discuss some ideas for another show." He said, "I want to get that engine in it somewhere." And I took along a friend of mine, Bob Baker, who
K9 Bob Baker.
yeah,
Doctor Who
K9,
Bob Baker.
yeah, Wallace and Gromit stuff
That's
in
it.
the
Yeah,
early
of course.
days.
Yes. Ah.
Good chap from Bristol.
yeah.
Played in a band as well. What
Yeah.
more do you want? And it was him who came up with the title Thunderbolt.
Right.
Probably after he probably nicked it from the Titchfield Thunderbolt,
Of
which was
course.
a film.
Yeah.
But anyway, Bob sort of he only attended one or two meetings, but we tried to sell this, and Gerry bought the idea for £1 off me for 5 years to try and sell it.
Right. Yeah.
And both him independently and the two of us went around to various places. And,
Wow.
And we couldn't get them. And traditionally, the BBC and ITV always throw you out the door. You know.
Yeah.
Well, in actual fact, the BBC showed quite a lot of interest, and then suddenly Gerry receives a letter saying, "Sorry, we're not going ahead with that."
Right.
And apparently that happens a lot.
Yeah.
It certainly happened to me a few times.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was disappointing, because I'd done quite a few character designs. For the Thunderbolt was about an engine, and I think Gerry said he saw a documentary about this train that circumnavigates. The Thunderbolt circumnavigated a planet, but there's
Right.
this train that goes up and down the length of China.
Ah.
A
Okay.
big train
Yes.
that he'd seen,
Yeah.
and outlined his idea. And
Yeah.
I think we had a shooting script at one point. I'm not quite sure.
Right.
I'd have to rummage
Interesting. Yeah,
amongst
yeah.
some stuff.
Gosh.
But in the meantime, Jamie Anderson
Yeah.
wrote a sort of synopsis for the thing as well,
Right,
which
right.
is quite interesting. But
Yeah.
the trick is getting the finances,
That's
as
it.
you know, and
That's right.
it's just so difficult. I think the people with the money are only interested in adding to the money, or at least not slipping up and losing their money. Whereas the creative people, it's a heart thing, you
Yeah,
know.
that's
you don't
right.
really care so much about the money
Yeah.
as the creation.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's been a long sort of waltz back and forward with that thing.
Interesting.
I think now I've got so many of my own projects that I can't ever see it getting done.
Right. Right.
But
Yeah.
it was good fun
Yeah.
working with Gerry.
Yeah, I'm sure. Now, we have lots and lots of questions, as you might imagine, from our listeners and viewers in this box here for you, Rodney. Would you like to reach in and take out a good handful, and we'll see how many we can
go.
get through? Yes.
Okay. Yeah, this one is from Paul Davis. Hello, Paul, if you're watching. It says, hello, Rodney. When designing your fantastic album covers for the likes of Aisha, Magnum and Rick Wakeman, do you listen to the music being written before you start creating the image? Or is your work based on a description of what the artist stroke band wants or some other method?
Yeah.
The truth there is it can come by any of those means.
Right.
In the early days, I would receive a cassette from the band with their previous album or a demo, and I'd sit down and think, now what does that say to me? 9 times out of 10, they'd have a title.
Yeah.
And you'd have to work with that title.
Yeah.
And so I do several pencil sketches of ideas, quite rough.
Yeah.
I send it back to them.
Yeah.
Or take it back in some cases. They say, we like number 3.
I see.
Can you develop that?
Right.
And at that point would come suggestions from the band.
Yeah.
The bands almost exclusively were easier to work with than the record companies, because the same thing, record company bosses don't have much in the way of imagination. Or at least their imagination is channeled in a particular way, whereas the band, they're just like artists.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the two things, I've always said, they go so closely together.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to struggle to explain
Yeah.
what would suit their
Yeah.
music. And I go away and do the finished artwork.
Yeah.
I've never had anybody say, we don't like this, take it away.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's an alteration, but
Yeah.
I usually I try to get into the heads of the band members first of all, and let them talk a bit. Then I make my decision.
Amazing. Let's have another question there.
Rich Goodborn. Hi, Rodney. Which band did you enjoy working with when you designed their album artwork?
Okay, so we've had the likes of Thin Lizzy, I think, and the Rolling Stones.
I started off with a little EP for Thin Lizzy.
Yeah.
And the Amon Duel 2, I think, was the early one. And then I did loads of folk artists album covers.
Yeah.
I worked in this place of Plastic Dog in Bristol, and that was where so many things happened, that I was designing album covers, playing in the band, did the first Glastonbury Festival.
Right, did you? Yeah, great.
All sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think I sort of work it around to saying, in this instance, which piece of artwork, represented the band most closely, and which you enjoyed working on, and hold it in some sort of personal esteem to this day.
Yeah.
And I think that was Tiger Moth.
Ah.
And that was for Ian A. Anderson, not the Jethro Tull stand on leg, blow a length of piping.
Yeah.
It was a folk singer and guitarist from Bristol, strangely enough. And he had a band called Tiger Moth. And you see it on the picture, there's a little tiger moth biplane in the distance. But it was basically an insect thing, back to the natural world.
Yeah.
It was the tiger moth, was a big tiger moth.
Yeah.
A real real moth.
Yes.
Playing a squeeze box. Well, a ladybird and another insect were dancing on the top of a piece of fungus.
Sweet.
And
lovely.
I really enjoyed that one very, very much.
Great. Keep them coming.
John Reeder. Hi, Rodney. Particularly like the two main villains in Lavender Castle.
Oh, yeah.
How difficult were they to create?
So when you're working on these creations, when they originally eventually arrive on screen, are they what you expect?
I dreaded what might happen at the first few meetings with the people that sculpted these things, and there are all sorts of comments made, and but they are very professional, McKinnon and Saunders, and they made these maquettes of all the characters,
right,
and including the main villains.
Yeah.
And I was very, very impressed.
Yeah.
And, these are obviously got armatures in. And
yes.
They're well worn out now, but there are lights this is Sir Squeak-a-Lot, The Sleepless Night.
Yeah.
There are lights in there. these eyeballs move about.
Oh wow! So they do. Yes. I
They
see.
were made by someone who makes false eyes for people,
Ah, right.
apparently.
Yeah.
So if I could just pull this one out again
Yeah.
for you, John. This is Short Fred Lead.
There he is.
He's a pirate's pirate. He always wanted to be a pirate. He's got he's over the top with every pirate
Just
sort of
a bit,
thing, you know,
yes.
two eye patches that come up, synchronized sometimes independently.
Yeah.
He's got, one leg, two crutches with boots on for a better grip.
Yeah.
He's got the cutlass there.
Yeah.
This is his sidekick, is a mechanical parrot. So it's a bit of Long John Silver and, Blackbeard. All the well-known pirates are there somewhere. And they made a brilliant job of that as well.
Yeah.
So the villains, I think, in some respects, are my personal favourites.
Yeah.
And I think Gerry insisted that nothing was done in a haphazard way. He wanted everything to look, even if a character only had a cameo, it had to look good.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what I was so grateful for, because he's one of the few people who's ever stuck up for me and said, look, this is what the picture looks like. I want to see that on the set. I want to see the character look exactly like this.
Yeah.
And he got
I see.
it.
Yeah. Amazing.
So, yeah.
Which did you a huge service as well.
Sorry?
That's doing you a huge service, isn't it?
It was.
By putting your
I couldn't believe it.
That's
It's
right.
the highlight of my career, working with Gerry Anderson on Lavender Castle. You can quote that.
Yeah. Oh, we will. Time for another question or two. How many have we got there?
yeah,
Let's have
okay,
another
here's
couple.
one.
Yeah.
Paul Hyder.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Rodney. What was your impression of Gerry Anderson? Well, I think I've just said quite a lot.
There you go.
Great
I think
man.
We know. That's right.
Great man. I got on great with him.
Yeah.
Should I tell him about the roundabout story?
Well,
now,
I don't
or-
know the roundabout story. So,
There's nothing rude about it.
well, go on then.
Gerry had a great sense of humour.
Yeah.
You didn't get the wrong side of him, but if you treated Gerry with respect, you were a friend for life. And he was very creative, and the things that went on his head, I could identify with.
Yeah.
He didn't. I didn't ever see him put brush to paper
Yeah.
or pencil to paper, but the stuff that went on his head was in parallel to mine, and I think that's why we got on.
Yeah.
But the other thing is we had some fun working together, and in the times after Lavender Castle, when we're partly twiddling our thumbs and waiting for people to tell us that they were not going to finance our projects, we exchanged pictures and scripts and all sorts of stuff between North Wales and a place where Gerry lived,
Yeah.
which I shouldn't be saying.
Yeah.
But anyway, and on one occasion he said, well, why don't we meet halfway, because you've been driving up here, and there were things that happened when Gerry drove up to my sort of house. It's like a farm on a hill in North Wales.
Yeah.
He drove his car off the track and down over a bank into a fence.
Ouch.
But it always involved cars. And in this instance, he said, why don't we meet up and discuss this halfway? So if I come up to sort of the A5, there's a sort of what was it? One of those, there's a garage there.
Yeah.
And what do you call those places? It was... It was one of those corner garden restaurants.
Yeah.
You didn't get hot dogs in and stuff. We
yes.
didn't go there because we wanted to sit and eat food.
Yeah.
We met in the car park, and I drove in, and I had a Subaru Impreza Turbo that I just bought on the proceeds of Lavender Castle.
Nice. Yeah.
Part of the proceeds.
Yeah.
And Gerry said, he was just about to leave, and he said, what's that thing over there? And I said, it's a Impreza. He said, is that quite nippy? I said, yeah, it's not bad. He said, I'm looking to buy a new car for Mary, and it has to be not completely boring, so a bit nippy about it. He said, can you give me a quick demonstration up the road? And I said, yeah, sit in. So it was getting late by that time, not much traffic about. And in those days, I tended to put my foot down without too much of an excuse.
Yeah.
I've settled down a bit now.
Yeah.
And we shot up this bit of straight to a roundabout about half a mile up the road, and I specialise in roundabouts, and I shot round the roundabout. I sort of put the back end out a bit on the roundabout, and we slid round. And I remember looking at the side of my face. I saw Gerry's face pressed up against the side window like this. His face squelching about on the window. And then we got round the roundabout and straightened up, and I floored it and shot down the road. I made sure there's no officers of the law handy. Yeah. And we pulled back into the car park, and he said, "No, not quite that, maybe." So she probably ended up with something else.
That's it, yeah. Got a mini metro or something, yeah. That's right. Brilliant, okay. Time for one final question there, Rodney. Let's have a look.
Simpsons clips.
Oh, yes.
Who was your favourite character to do the designs for, presumably in Lavender Castle?
I would think so, knowing Simpsons clips, yes.
I think it must be Short Fred Led.
Yeah.
Which he's gone into before, and I remember the time that I actually stumbled on an idea for that.
Uh-huh.
We were looking for an extra character, and I'm up in North Wales, waltzing a strimmer around my garden, and this sort of thing becomes monotonous after a time.
Yeah.
I didn't exactly go into a trance, but I thought, we need a pirate. I did some tidy pirate impersonations when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I thought we need a... And actually, Gerry said jokingly, you can do the voice for this. It was like, Hawkins, weigh anchor.
Nice.
And it was like a Bristolian pirate accent that I did without too much provocation.
Yeah.
And it was like, we must have this pirate in it. And he's got to be over the top, but a bit sort of short of the grey matter there. Mm-hmm. And he's got to be the sort of person who blunders about and takes instructions from Dr. Agon without realising that gravity is what he's just been asked to do.
Yeah.
And very, very often sort of shoots himself in the foot or what other implement he's got. And it could end up being quite funny. We could get some laughs out of this pirate, and I think that's how it ended up.
Nice.
I was very pleased with Fred's role.
Yeah, lovely.
In the show.
Great. Now, just before we finish, a couple of things for us to look at before we go, Rodney, if that's all right.
Yeah.
First of all, a current project of yours, I think. If we just take a look at this clip and you can tell us all about it.
Right.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The colours are astounding. The design is just gorgeous and sumptuous.
They're watercolours.
Ah, it's lovely.
And would you like to know a bit of the history?
Yes, tell us about Yendor, yes.
In 1973, I did a pile of illustrations in watercolour for a children's book. Everybody wants to do a children's book at some point in their life. And this was 1973. I did the illustrations first and then thought, what's the story going to be? And I was in the Plastic Dog Music Agency office at the time, and a local musician, all these musicians came in and insisted they play their latest tune and that, and it was a bit time-consuming, but he came in and said, well, what's this? I explained what it was. He said, I write some stories. Can I write a little story for it? I said, yeah, go on then.
Ah.
Which he did. I then presented this to someone at the company I worked for in London that did posters internationally, Big O, and the boss immediately said, I will publish that as a book. And he did, and he published it in 1978.
Wow.
Not long before he went bankrupt.
Okay. The two weren't connected, I hope.
No, he'd overstepped in some other places.
Yeah.
And only sold a few thousand copies.
Yeah.
But people remembered it, and these were people that were buying my posters in millions at the time.
Yeah.
So to have my little book remembered was something. And when I met and married Sarah many years later, it was about 8 or 9 years ago that I met Sarah, my good wife, and and one day we were looking at this copy of a book from the 70s, and we thought to ourselves, well, why can't we republish that? And we did. And then we made a audio, but we got Oliver Wakeman to write the music, which has to be heard at full blast.
I'm sure it does. Yes, quite right.
I'm half deaf with the rock and roll over the years, and then we started to make a film with just a couple of people, Matt Henry and John Rashid, and it started to look good, and we thought we'll sort of. It was actually based on the book entirely, because Sarah took recorded her voice reading the book in her Scottish accent, and we made this film, and we needed about 9 or 10 grand to finish it, so it went to Kickstarter, and we were oversubscribed with that.
I can imagine.
So that was really good. Really pleased with that, and it won, I don't know, about 30 awards and.
Yeah, amazing.
And so it was a joint thing. It was the first of what turned out to be quite a few things that we do together. Because she works in the studio. She does all the donkey work of running the studio. Yeah. And I come in with a pencil and sharpen now and again and that sort of thing. But Sarah does, like the voiceovers. We get the music arranged. I sometimes get involved in the musical projects, which is quite a few going on. Yeah. And she does everything that involves a computer, including part of the animation, all the cutouts and stuff like that. Yeah. And it works really, really well. Consequently, we've got a second Yendor book.
Lovely.
That I've illustrated, and we need to finish writing that. And enough stuff for another film. Nice. That book, the Odd in His Other Land book, I've commenced illustrations for a second book of that. Right. That seems to be going down very well. Great. So, great stuff.
Amazing. So all available. The website address I've got here is rodneymatthewsstudios.com. You also mentioned another website address.
Adventure Matthews.
Adventure Matthews, yeah. You can find more children's stuff, would you say?
That applies to the children's projects.
Perfect. And a very quick word about your music. So, several bands in the course of several years. You find yourself working with some very accomplished musicians. Yeah. Are you still working as a band or in a band at the moment?
I don't play any live gigs anymore. I did through the 60s and 70s. Yeah. Supported a lot of well-known.
Yes, Cream. I think I saw.
Yeah, Cream and everything. Eric Clapton, Derek and the Dominoes. Yeah. We played with. All sorts of people like Slade and the Who and Barclay James Harvest and a lot of the prog bands, Manfred Mann. I can't remember most of them.
Yeah, great.
And I think ultimately I thought, but we're only the support band. Yeah. I'm going to concentrate on my art.
I see.
It all came about, as I said, from my dad, who was a drummer. So. Yeah. I did, and then I played some jazz for quite a long time in Bristol. I played with my friend's jazz band, and I'm moving up to North Wales, a bit of jazz up there as well. Yeah. And then I met an American guitarist, Jeff Sheets, at a gig in the UK, And we started talking about my imagery related to the sort of music that he played. And I said, it'd be great to do an album. It took us many, many years to get round to it.
Yeah.
My first wife died in the middle of it all.
Right.
So it was held back a long time.
Yeah.
But eventually, I spoke to people that I'd done album covers for. I got John Payne from Asia, and
Yes, great.
Rick Wakeman from Yes played on one track of my album. His son Oliver played on almost every track, and you know, I plucked these people. They couldn't say no, but otherwise I'd say, well, I'm not doing your album
Exactly.
cover.
You had them over
So
a
it
barrel.
was, yeah, it's a really sort of a half Nelson job.
Yeah.
But, so I'm working on another album with Oliver Wakeman at the moment.
Right.
And with Jeff Sheets, the guitarist.
Right.
So 2 albums on the go.
Great.
And with my other arms, I'm, you know, illustrating for our rest of our projects. So it's very, it's all arms and legs up in our studio at the moment.
Fantastic. Good. Well, it's been so nice to have you on the Gerry Anderson podcast, Rodney, to talk about your life and career and continuing projects. It's been absolutely fascinating. So thank you so much
Thank you very much
for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rodney Matthews, thank you so much for joining us for the past 2 weeks.
Quite a raconteur, isn't he?
Oh, what a pleasure.
Nice guy.
I
Very
mean,
talented.
Very talented. And also, you know, in there doing it, made a thing with Gerry.
Yes.
And that's just extraordinary. We don't often get that opportunity.
Yeah.
I know we have Terry Adlam, who says that he came up with Dick Spanner.
Yeah.
But Rodney Matthews came up with Lavender Castle.
And it's amazing how well, when you look at Rodney's artwork and like concept designs for the show, how well they translate to the screen. It's like almost a one-to-one translation. It's incredible.
Yeah, extraordinary.
Quite complex designs to try and realise like that.
And interesting to hear of the projects that almost made it and
yes.
never did.
Well, that brings me on to a theme for later this year.
Yeah?
Did you know, Richard James, did you know, Chris Dale, that this year is Anderson Entertainment's 25th anniversary?
Is it? 25th anniversary. Right.
Yeah. So founded in 1999, began operating around August, September 1999.
Well.
So we are celebrating 25 years.
Yes.
And Rodney's stuff there sort of starts a bit of a theme of things we're going to be doing over the next few months, which is to open up the archive and share with the wonderful Ander fans all across the planet Earth unmade things, ideas, notes, scraps of paper,
Great.
unused doctor's prescriptions.
Right, not so great.
Anything that we can find.
Packets.
Packets. No, because Dad had stopped smoking by then.
Yes.
But anything that's in the archive that we haven't yet talked about, we're going to be giving you little previews, looks behind the scenes, stuff that we haven't talked about before. Nice. So you can see a lot of the unmade and the near misses and the kind of the genesis of things that did happen over the years.
Interesting.
So what form will this access take? Will it be YouTube videos, website articles?
Don't ask him that. He doesn't know
He
that
doesn't
yet.
know. I
It's
thought
just
what he might be
thing, that's
hoping
all.
for.
Yes,
maybe.
Chris, all of
Yes,
those.
all of those things.
And more or less of them.
Okay.
Good.
Great, that's exciting.
Wow.
So we're having a sort of silver anniversary get-together, are we, at some point?
Yeah.
That'd be nice, isn't it?
Oh, nice curry.
Happy anniversary.
Oh!
Shall we
He's
hear
coined it.
some news from our Podsterons?
Well, nothing's going
Yeah.
to top anniversary, but okay.
No. Let's
Here
see
they
what they've
are.
got.
This is the voice of the Podsterons.
Yes, it's the voice of the Podsterons. Our wonderful listeners and viewers have been emailing us again at podcast@gerryanderson.com with their thoughts, news, comments and reviews.
Why'd you say it again?
Oh, you like it when it rhymes though, don't you?
I do.
Just did the rhyme for
I
you.
love a rhyme.
I'm going first this time from Stephen Hyde, who says, "Hi guys, i.e. Jamie, Richard and Chris,
And Ross.
and Charlotte,
And Charlotte.
Louise
And
and
phones.
Tim.
And everybody else.
Just thought I'd get in touch to say how much I enjoyed visiting Slough a short while ago to find the locations of the studios on the trading estate. And to pop into the Moxie Hotel and admire all the Thunderbirds decor.
Oh, might have been here while we were here.
Yeah. I would love to give a shout out to Laura and all the staff at Pro Tire on the trading estate.
Pro Tire.
Once the first home of AP Film Studio on the Ipswich Road in the in the early 60s, for making me feel welcome, for telling me more about the history of the building, and for letting me have a look around to see where Tex Tucker, Mike Mercury, and Steve Zodiac, amongst others, once had their adventures. That's romantic, isn't it? Lovely? It was a shame to learn about the demolition of the Century 21 studio along the Stirling Road, but it was nice to have a look along that road all the same. Finally, just to thank Jamie again for signing my mum's copy of the Fireball XL5 comic anthology. It's always been her favourite Anderson series and she's loved reading it. Best wishes to you all from Stephen Height.
That's very happy to help, Steve.
Yes,
Glad you
yes.
enjoyed Slough as well.
It came on a bit of a pilgrimage. That's quite nice, isn't
Yeah.
it? Sweet. Yeah.
Lovely to hear about the XL5 comic anthology. I'm rereading that at the moment.
Are
I'm
you
thoroughly
now?
enjoying it.
It's
yes,
lovely,
indeed.
isn't it? It's a lovely
Yes.
piece.
Yeah, great. Chris.
Shall I take the second one?
Go on,
yes.
then.
Okay. Hi, Jamie and Richard.
Hello.
1, 2.
Yeah, Jamie and Richard, yeah.
Yeah. I remember reading an interview with Quinn Martin, the Fugitive, The Invaders, The Streets of San Francisco, etc.
yes.
And he said that he purposely asked the people who starred in those shows to wear clothes that wouldn't look dated so that in rerun life they would not reflect the era in which they were made.
Tough.
Watching The Invaders recently, for example, Roy Thinnis looked as if he could be walking down the streets today, so I think that was a pretty shrewd move. But bearing in mind Captain Scarlet, Joe 90 and the Secret Service were made in the second half of the 60s when most people, myself included, were trying to look like John Lennon, and in my case failing miserably, there is absolutely no sign whatsoever of the long hair, caftans, or any of the pretty way-out fashions of the time. What gives series like Battlestar Galactica away is the 1970s haircuts as another example. Did Gerry adopt the same recommendations? Watching the shows now on Talking Pictures TV, and on Blu-ray of course, they have just dated so brilliantly and still look so au courant. Is that how we pronounce this?
That is right, Mr. Dale.
It's just a thought. S-I-G from Peter.
Pierre, merci.
Great. Interesting. I love the 70s fashions in stuff that I mean, what I love in particular is that the Star Wars movies, late 70s, early 80s, the original trilogy, where they have the sideburns, particularly the, on the Death Star, they have the sideburns and the long 70s and early 80s hair. And then when they come to make things like Rogue One, they revisit those styles.
Yeah.
They didn't try and, update
Which
it.
I
It was
much prefer to things like, for instance, current Star Trek, where they have a new version of the Enterprise. It doesn't look anything like the 60s
Yes,
version. It's
yes,
like,
that's right.
you kind of have to honour it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I agree with a lot of what was said there about the 60s shows.
Yeah.
I have seen some of the Invaders quite recently, and yeah, the fashions in there are of their time, but they're also slightly timeless. Whereas Battlestar Galactica is quite a disco future.
Disco Future.
Disco future.
Nice, yeah.
I suppose 1999 is to a certain
Yeah,
extent.
yeah.
No, but I think they were always kind of pushing the edge of fashion and design and technology. I borrowed somebody's Captain Scarlet script that belonged to somebody in Puppet Wardrobe, and it was full of cuttings of fashion magazines at the time. So things that were not, on the high street, they were not being worn day to day, but they were like, oh, look at this. This could be a bit crazy, a bit. So the Pierre Cardin tunic, I guess, which is, the Captain Scarlet tunic.
Or even with bits of tech. I think there's a control panel in Terrorhawk somewhere that has got a tiny little portable calculator mounted as a console, because at the time it would have looked futuristic, and now we look at it and think, oh yeah, that was a calculator.
And then we have the fashions of Captain Scarlet, of course, as you just mentioned, but then inspiring the likes of Gary Newman.
Absolutely.
So it's sort of fashion eating itself, isn't
Yes,
it?
yeah, the retrofuturism creating the future which is now the past of today.
That's right, exactly.
Couldn't have put it better myself.
Thank you.
Yes.
The last one.
Yes, go on then.
Last one.
Right, it's from Alex Pantrick.
Oh, yes, good.
It says, Dear Jamie and Richard and Chris.
Oh, that's nice.
We're all in there. I made this short video recently where I analyse a UFO episode. Let me know what you think. The title of said video is
Yes.
A Question of Priorities is Peak Television.
Okay.
So you can search that on YouTube.
Yeah.
Feel free to show it on the podcast, says Alex.
No time, sorry.
Can't do
Schedule.
that, Alex, I'm afraid, but you can go and look for it.
Yeah.
P.S. Richard,
Yes.
I've watched Space Precinct in its entirety.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Good for you.
And I'm going to review it next.
Oh,
So stay tuned. He didn't say it that way, but I'm imagining he did.
yeah, it's quite aggressive, I thought.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
who knows if it'll be a positive review. Is
Yes.
Space Precinct peak television?
It had its moments.
It has its peaks.
Yes. But Alex, are you going to leave a review of the entire series, or episode by episode, or choose an episode?
Well, it looks
Dunno.
like in its entirety.
Yeah,
So
Some
okay.
people do watch episode by episode. Yes.
Good for you.
stand by for a scathing review of Space Precinct or a lovely review.
Exactly. Thank you. All for now. Do keep them coming in. podcast@gerryanderson.com. We'll read them out next time. Tell us your favourite shows. Tell us your thoughts of your favourite characters. What do you think about the fashions in Captain Scarlet? Yeah? What do you think about the concert that you have not yet been to see?
Unless you're watching this after the concert, in which you have
been to see it. Yes.
have.
Yesterday would it?
So, are you looking
No,
forward to it,
No,
or did you
next
enjoy
week.
it?
Next week.
Yes. So, are you looking forward to it, or did you enjoy it? Either or.
This is
Yes
tricky.
or yes are the only acceptable answers. Good.
I think it's time to ask Rodney Matthews to press the big red button to see what we
yes.
get on this week's Randomiser.
Yes.
Let's go.
Come on, Rodney.
Over to you, Rodney. Please press the button.
Oh, yes, Richard.
Come on, Rodney, do us proud.
Come on.
Super Marination. Oh! Okay. How do you feel about that,
I'm a
Jamie?
happy bunny. I'm a happy bunny.
It's Joe 90.
Yeah. What is it? Rodney, you plonker.
Oh, that's unfair. It's random.
No, it's not.
Yeah. How do you feel about sitting through an episode of Joe 90?
I am willing to give it a go.
Great. Chris, can you
Yes.
tell us all you know about Joe 90
In 1 second. No, you can have 10 seconds.
in 10 seconds or less? Go.
Joe 90, 30 episodes, first broadcast in 1968. It's about a little boy called Joe whose father has built a machine that's capable of transferring the knowledge of one mind to another, and they puts it into his brain, and he's hired by the government to be a secret agent and go off and kill people.
With 2 milliseconds to spare.
Well done.
Chris.
I don't think I missed out anything.
You nailed it.
I love the way your voice gets higher as those seconds pass. Very good.
That's great.
Jamie,
Well, that was the best bit.
specs on.
It's like being
Do
a
I have to?
mastermind.
How you feeling, Jamie?
So much promise with this opening sting. No, I'm really interested to watch it. I'm not sure I've ever actually seen this episode. So
Well, it opens with a couple of very recognisable Captain Scarlet characters, just to sort of ease you into it a bit.
Oh, there you go.
We're starting out in a mine.
okay.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
We're about a mile from the entrance. Is that far enough?
Fine. The blast will be just big enough to extract a sample from about...
Are we going to see two villains in sheets pretending to be ghosts?
Oh, no, I think we've moved beyond that.
Have we?
Yes. That would be fun, though.
Great Four for the Falls crossover.
Yes.
Rating over 70 years ago.
70 years ago. There he is.
Oh,
Ah,
Colonel.
he's familiar.
White, yep.
They closed down.
Selko, have them insert the explosive.
Captain Oka.
Johnson, prepare the explosive.
I like how they've got a big old collection of hard hats there, with 3, 56, and 89 on those.
Yes. That's all they've got left after all the accidents.
There's something for the Gerry Anderson store, surely.
Now, I don't quite understand why you would stay in the mine
While you're detonating,
while you're
massive
detonating
hole.
explosives, because
Oh no.
Asking
Yeah.
for trouble, really.
it is a bit dangerous.
Stay back.
Yeah, they caused a cave-in in the mine.
But not only have they caused a cave-in in the mine, they've caused a cave-in at a point in the mine that they needed to go past in order
Oh.
to get out.
Yes.
So they walked
Oh.
the length of the mine
Yep.
and then set an explosive
Behind them.
behind them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they haven't thought it through.
I would say they're in relative danger.
The
Oh, that sounds like the title for an episode.
right.
Wow.
Okay. Well, we've yet to see Joe 90. Jamie.
Yeah,
This is a cheap bit to film. Oh.
Which is, of course, a series that was the first series to make use of pre-title sequences
I see.
That's good.
to set up a
info
bit of
there,
a,
Chris.
a cliffhanger going into the titles.
from the entrance. We'll never get out.
Mummy!
Hey, where's the doctor?
Oh, he got very badly bashed. I saw.
Listen,
What? I can hear something.
over there.
What is it? It's International Rescue.
It does feel like the start of a Thunderbirds
It's-
episode
yeah,
rather
absolutely
than
does.
Joe.
Can you hear me? Are you all right?
Oh, yeah, I'm fine. What do you think? Yeah, I'm fine.
I think so. But I can't move.
Apart from that, I'm all right.
Yeah.
You've what?
Nothing. I'll be all right.
Have you got your emergency light?
Yes.
How's that going to help?
Yes, but I can't eat light.
I can see how screwed we are. Hey!
Our last radio check is overdue. You can bet it won't be long before they're working to get us out of here.
Sure. They'll get us out. Dead.
Oh, right,
He's the
great.
cheerful one on the team.
Lovely. Just bring the whole thing down.
Okay. I mean, that's a great line to go into this
Yeah,
it is.
opening title sequence.
That's true. And, you know, possibly the best theme ever.
I think
One of
the
the
end
best.
titles theme has the slight edge.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this is still classic.
I absolutely remember this, watching only this as a child. I remember this opening sequence, but remember nothing of the programme. So obviously I switched off at this point.
It's very pretty, and the music's very good.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah. So what's not to like?
well, that's all to be revealed.
You're like the guy at the mine there. Yeah, when we're dead.
What I love about this opening is that you don't get the prop used that much in the show. It's got all these lights and levers and moving parts. It's so intricate. You could believe this is a real machine with all the tape and such.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's been designed more for the opening titles than anything else.
Yes.
But I wouldn't mind taking a spin in it.
Whose brain pattern would you have?
Mine. I wouldn't wish that on you.
No? Oh, no. We'll see.
Great sound effects. And
So cool.
that's it. And that very Joe 90 transition, which
It does the job.
I can't go, Chief. Get someone else. I'm not the right man for this mission.
I think you are, Sam.
Oh, Chief.
Here we are in WIN headquarters, London.
Get out there as fast as you can, along with Joe and the Professor.
And typical of the Scarlet and Joe 90 era, people have massive offices, and they are sat at a tiny desk at one end, sitting in a cathedral-sized office. Oh, beautiful cottage. Wonderful prop.
yeah, it's very intricate. And very,
It's amazing,
It's a lovely piece.
Yes.
What did you want, Dad?
Come in, Joe. Catch your breath.
Oh, has he been out playing?
Or losing.
We were 2 goals up, Dad.
Oh, yeah.
Playing football.
Yeah.
He was playing in that, was he?
Yeah.
What, in his nice little
In his
corduroy
dungarees.
onesie?
No. No, it was Shane Weston himself.
That'd be an image to see these puppets attempting to play football. Whole field full of puppet children. Yeah.
Terrifying.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but it might not reach them in time.
What can we do, Dad?
Weston wants us to fly out there with Sam.
Right.
But first, you are to receive the brain pattern of Clive Brinker,
Who's he?
the leading underground explorer in the country.
Oh, that's handy.
Right.
Which country, we don't know.
Yes, of course.
This really doesn't feel like a job for the World Intelligence Network.
No.
It is very much a Thunderbirds setup, as you said. Yeah.
All we have to do, relax completely.
In he goes.
It's totally safe.
Yes.
I'll just stand behind this 12-inch thick glass screen.
Put these goggles on, yeah.
You just relax.
Hey,
Great.
We're already back to the titles.
Yes. Just re-seeing what we've already seen.
Yes, which I suppose is a bit odd, isn't it?
Good cost
Slightly
saving.
different sound effects.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's the brain liquefying alarm.
Great. But just relax.
Yes.
We're picking up a fully rigged truck about 10 miles further on.
So, the leading underground expert in the country, is he aware that his brain patterns have been
No.
stolen?
Why couldn't they just get him?
He would have
Yeah.
been invited in for a chat, and
Yeah.
then they would have said, "Oh, that's very interesting. Thank you. Goodbye."
Right.
Yeah, while they were recording his brain pattern.
So we never meet the people that...
Sometimes they go and see them with a briefcase with an antenna sticking out, and just saying, "Could you say some words into this
Could you
microphone?"
think some
please?"
thoughts and
Yes.
this briefcase?
Yeah.
But we've got some rescue equipment on the scene already.
Right.
Again, this looks very Thunderbirdsy.
I suppose Joe's he's small, isn't he? So that's the key. He'll be able
He
to
is
get into
small,
those
yeah.
nooks and crannies.
I mean,
Sometimes you can only get a drill of a certain width in the Joe
Yes.
90 universe that requires a small person.
Yes.
right.
What were those men doing?
Why didn't they just land at the site rather than get in a truck?
Well, because this gives us a valuable exposition time. Why are we taking the truck, Father? It's valuable exposition time, son.
Should have had more sense than to ever have gone down there. Now, look, that's enough questions. Wait till you get to the mountains. You'll see for yourself.
No more exposition.
Also wondering if this is a reuse of the Hood's truck from Thunderbirds. It's a bit similar to the one he would take out in the desert in a couple of episodes.
12 hours. I told you, we're never gonna get out of here.
Oh, right.
Does feel a bit like 12 hours, to be fair.
Jamie.
He's just about clinging
The
on.
unconscious.
Or dead.
If only there was something we could do to help him.
Throw a stone at him. See if he's awake.
No. No, we can't chance it from this side of the rockfall. Otherwise, you'll have the whole lot on top of him.
As opposed to now, when he's only got 3/4 of it on top of him.
I do like to see sweaty puppets.
Oh, yes.
Do
love a
you?
sweaty
Yeah,
puppet.
it works really well, doesn't it? The sweat around the neck, around the collar is really good.
It is a nice touch, yeah.
I mean, that rig is pretty over the top, isn't it?
It reminds me a bit of the thing holding up the Empire State Building
Yes.
in that Thunderbirds episode.
About 120 feet down.
How far have you got?
55 feet.
How do you expect those men down there to survive going at that pace?
It's rough going. They've got about 100 tons of rock ready to move in on top of them. We're cutting in on an angle. We can't get to them any faster.
You better. If they're not brought out alive, I'm holding you personally responsible.
Well, I don't think that's very good man management, is it?
No.
To talk to someone like that. Wow.
He's a stick man, not a carrot man, isn't he?
Yes, very much.
Keep it coming. Keep it coming.
But this is a nice match of voice and puppet to be the leader of the rescue gang or whatever. Even though the voice isn't that different from the one he was using for Shane Weston.
You what?
I'll have you taken off the job if you don't get this drill moving faster.
You've been crowding me since you got here, Sam.
He talks like you when we're trying to get a podcast in the can.
I ought to lay one right on your jaw.
Yeah, that's exactly what you do when we can't get to the randomizer quick enough.
You're right.
Doing everything humanly possible.
So,
It's drama.
It is.
yeah, but... So people who are not qualified to do a rescue
Yes.
have got a child with the brain pattern of a man who could have gone himself.
Yes.
And now they've stood there all day doing nothing
They've been arguing.
except tell off the man who's running the drill at maximum pace and knows what he's doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see why you love this show so much. It's absolutely thrilling stuff.
Maybe things are yet to be revealed.
Yeah, okay.
Patience, my boy.
What's that?
Sounds like a massive drill.
It would be funny if you just cut to the mole coming through and International Rescue have been working from the other end of the valley or something.
Oh,
Don't worry, we're here to save you.
Oh, we've killed you.
no, it just made him dusty.
Yes. Well, we don't have any other use for the Colonel White puppet by this point.
The opening to the other cave. Is it blocked?
Yeah. Tight. Must have finished the
They
old
do
man.
put these puppets through the ringer in some of these shoots. Dust and water and fire.
It's the next day now.
Yes.
How's it going?
Should be any moment now. With the 3-inch diameter bore.
Boss, I think we're just about there.
Great.
I can hear screams.
Ready. Lower them as soon as you can.
3-inch diameter bore.
Yeah, I'm not going to get Joe through that, are they?
Mr. Rollins, have you seen Sam Louver?
No, not this morning. Isn't he with you?
No. He didn't come back to the cabin.
I've got an idea where he just might be. Come on.
Cut to a bar.
Oh, it's the abandoned mine workings. There he is.
What is he up to?
Just as I figured.
Uncle Sam,
Mac, Joe, what are you doing here?
we've been looking for you.
I've been trying to get through to those caves. When I was a kid, we used to slide through there clean as a whistle.
So he's familiar with the country.
I can get through.
Yes.
Joe, these caves have claimed enough lives. You don't know
Oh,
what it's
go
like
on.
down there.
Get a phone link into the Camaro tunnel.
And what are we doing here?
Getting our pink ties dirty.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
How's the doctor?
There was a rock fall. He was cut off. We haven't heard a thing for a couple of hours.
Okay,
We're okay, though.
thanks.
Sam, where are you going?
That drill of yours cut him off. No air, no way out. You've really taken care of it, haven't you?
Sam.
Oh, He's gone out in high dudgeon.
It's proper EastEnders stuff.
It really is.
Poor Sam.
Rollins, what's this all about?
Yeah.
Sam hasn't let up on you since he arrived here.
They've got history.
It's not like him.
It's all right, Professor. I know what he's going through. I've known Sam for a long time. And the doctor even longer.
Well, why is Sam acting like this? What's the connection?
Connection? Didn't you know? The doctor down there is Willie Louver, Sam's father.
Oh, no. See?
I like this.
Yes.
There's a lot of subtext going on here.
Yeah, not sure I like the name Willie Louver.
Willie Louver.
Willie Louver.
No.
That's like a Ken Dodd character.
Yes.
Sounds like a home appliance.
I won't be
The
borrowing
Willie
yours.
Louver from JML. Yes.
You know it's your father down there. Why didn't you tell us?
How could I, Mac?
And what else, Sam?
I can just say that's my dad down there. That would do it, probably.
Yeah.
He wants to help, but you've got him doing nothing.
Jamie Anderson's watching. We don't want Joe on screen all that much.
All right, Mac. My father has a condition which requires regular injections. His full serum supply was found in the truck. If he's still alive, without that serum, he'll be dead within.
He's got non-specific syndrome.
Yes,
very
dreadful.
dangerous.
How many times have I told you that Joe 90, WIN, and the Big Rat can't be called on just because something's affecting us personally?
That's exactly what
Oh, yeah,
they
but
did.
you're not doing anything else otherwise, so...
I know, Sam. You're torn down the middle. Loyalty to your father and loyalty to WIN.
Like it. I like it.
It's a Joe 90 mission now.
Hooray!
Come on.
There he is.
He's going to sort it all out
Come
for
on,
us.
Joe.
But he could have done this all before.
Yeah, but then, we needed a bit of backstory.
drama,
A bit of filler.
Yeah, no.
PMs are down. What's the matter?
There's a lot of rock shifting, boss. I thought we should slow it down.
We've got to take that chance. They can't hold out forever. Put her flat out.
Oh, dear.
Well, go on then.
Okay, I'm ready, Sam.
Now, Joe, after the first chasm, you'll find a small channel cutting through the rock to a narrow ledge.
I'll get through it, Sam. Then I'll double rope from there.
We'll be right here, Joe.
All right, Sam.
Doing nothing as usual.
I'm not so worried. Clive Brinker is a great underground explorer, and I've got his brain pad.
Yeah, good for you.
Thanks, Joe.
I won't forget this. Oh, next week we're sending you to infiltrate a secret base in the middle of nowhere.
Whoa.
Watch out for that hole, Joe.
Yes, the first chasm. It's quite tense, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tense wasn't the word I was
You're
going
invested,
for.
aren't you?
I love
yeah.
this. I'm enjoying this. Mainly because Jamie isn't.
Yeah. But it is unusual for any Anderson show to concentrate on the characters so much.
Yeah.
I mean, you get this kind of thing in Thunderbirds, but it's very rare for the puppet shows. Oh no, not the very unstable rocks. Jamie's there with his Joe 90 pin cushion. Come on, fall, fall.
Well, the music suggests something might happen.
Yes.
We can but hope. Doesn't look like a
But
9-year-old
he's not being
sound.
too objectionable this episode,
He
is he?
hasn't done anything.
Well, he's doing something now.
Yeah, a bit of shimmy shimmy. Touching up a rock face.
A short play for radio.
I don't know whose hand that would have been to get a
Like
child's
a
hand. It
woman's
could have been a
hand.
woman.
Judith Shutt hand, maybe, do you
Could
think?
be, yeah.
She did a lot of the hand.
I know. I think Barry Gray's son was Joe in International Concerto briefly.
Yes.
About the hand inserts,
They know what they're doing.
and we don't because we walked into the mine and blew ourselves up.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever understand that.
No.
Any news from down below?
There's no change.
What's that? The old man?
It's a drilling noise. What could it be?
Hold on, Selkirk. We haven't heard a thing from there in hours. It's probably another rockfall.
I guess you're right. Nothing can save him now.
I mean, he's really bringing the whole thing
You
down.
need
isn't he,
friends
this
when
guy?
you've got those or enemies, rather. Yeah. They're...
Lovely clean shoes, though.
Yeah. They don't look like the best things for climbing or cave exploring. He's got his disco shoes on. I quite like the little... The human and puppet intercut there. It was quite tidy.
Yes, it
There you go. I had something nice to say about it.
Yeah.
We can mark that in our calendars.
Yes. I mean...
Granted, this bit is a bit slow. Since Joe got involved, it's kind of not so interesting.
Yeah.
The only way through, and it's right under that drill.
Right.
Jamie, what would you have Joe do in this situation?
I would say radio would say, stop the drill, please. I need
Yes,
to pop
that would
underneath
work.
it.
Yeah.
What's he going to do, Chris?
Joe hasn't got time to call for that kind of thing.
Right. Let's take a stupid risk instead.
It is quite a scary situation if the drill broke through at that moment.
I want to see the drill bit, though. I want to see it right there.
Burrowing into his spine.
Well, no.
Yeah.
But I want to see a bit of,
a bit more race against time.
Pointy
kind
end
of
of the
peril.
drill.
Yeah.
I want to see the business end of the drill. Pressing against his the small of his back or something.
Oh, place is shaking. That roof won't take it.
Don't talk like that.
Now this guy could have killed Mr. Miserable and got away with it. Oh
yeah,
just to shut him up.
Yeah.
You know, no one would have questioned it.
Yeah, true.
Maybe Joe will do it when he arrives.
Yeah. He's coming in from the other side.
Sam, I'm in the tunnel. There's a huge rock pile.
That'll be it, Joe. Now, go carefully. One wrong move could bring it all down.
I know, Sam. I'll be careful.
Yeah.
He's there, Mac. But now comes the most difficult part. One slip and they'll all be crushed.
It's working overtime by the looks of it.
Yeah.
You kind of need a moment where it sort of bursts into flames or something.
What is it? We're dropping again.
It's the rock, boss. It smashed the drill head.
How long will it take to change it?
About half an hour, Chief.
All right, do it. And get those revs back up.
Right.
Have stopped drilling. Have given up.
Selkirk, get a hold of yourself.
Have given up, I tell you. I think we've had it.
Yeah.
What's the betting he just behaves like this on a normal day?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yay, Joe's found him.
Oh, okay.
Come on.
Right, sorry, I thought it was going to be
Did the
some
heroic music not clue you
difficulty
in?
getting through or something. She's like, oh, no, there he is.
Yeah, found him.
Right, Doctor. It's going to be all right.
Oh, that's a bit creepy.
Think to inject him?
You're just going to go to sleep.
I've just given your father the serum. He's very weak, but he's all right.
Oh, there you go.
Thanks.
I mistakenly gave him a lethal injection.
Oh.
Sorry, Sam.
Rescue cage through to him by then.
Have a doctor come down with a cage and a stretcher with plenty of blankets.
Okay, Joe.
Yeah, we don't need to see that happen now, though. We could just cut to the surface and everyone's fine now, can't we?
What's that?
Right, so what I need now is a really big, dramatic finale,
Yeah.
crazy rock falls,
Yeah.
incredible rescue. Joe suggests no.
Would you settle for a tender, emotional finale?
No. Is that... Right, is that it?
Oh. He's happy.
There you go. What's the matter?
What's happening? Sam?
The drill has reached your friends. They'll soon get you out. I've got to go. They mustn't find me here.
What?
Sam? Don't leave me.
Don't worry. You're safe now.
Sam? Come back. Sam?
Sam!
I don't understand why he had to leave.
He had to give him the injection.
Yeah, but he had to leave because they had to have Joe back on the surface. Because people
Well, there would be
couldn't
too
know
many
that-
questions if they found him underground.
Rather than questions of why is this boy here at an incident anyway. Oh, dear.
Where am I?
You're all right, Dad. Just relax.
So use this for Gerry Anderson Life Uncharted, thanks to Chris Dale finding it as a reference to Dad with his father when he was on his deathbed.
Ah, right.
There you go. That's
Yeah.
And it was as if you were right there beside me in that cave, Sam. You were a little boy. You just sat there, just like the old days.
injecting me while I was buried in rocks.
Just like the old days.
Was to live.
It was the most important thing in the world to me, too, Dad. Get some rest now, Dad.
This bit, that's what we used. There we go.
Well, I like that it doesn't end with a sort of rousing crescendo of hooray for everybody. It's just like a little slice of life, and we've all been in this situation, and that's all it is. Yeah.
There we are.
Wow.
Bit of Joe 90 on the randomiser.
Very nice too.
Well, come on, I had to sit through Terrorhawks last week.
You
I
laughed
enjoyed
at
both.
Terrorhawks. Sorry, just Peter
Go on.
Anderson.
Yes.
Not a director name that I'm very familiar with.
Oh.
What else did he do in the world of Anderson? Anything? Nothing?
Probably something, but nothing.
He's not a name that we
springs
see
to
regularly.
mind.
And still around, do we know?
No idea. You're asking a lot of questions.
I don't
on the
know.
spot.
Sorry, that's the most excited I've been about the whole thing.
Oh, right.
Podsterons, do you know who Peter Anderson is? Is he still around? There we go.
Should look into it. There we go. So, well, I mean, I thought a good 70% of that was quite good and interesting and exciting.
Yeah, some of the underground rescue stuff is a bit slow, but it kind of has to be because you can't go tearing down there and sort of racing along. But
That's right.
I've always really enjoyed that one because I think it's one of the strengths of the show is the characters.
Yeah, exactly. The character detail was really quite interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, I enjoyed that. Jamie.
There's a quietness on this side of the table.
I've noticed. You're like the guy in the mine, aren't you? We might as well be dead.
We might as well give
Come
up.
on,
This is
Selkirk.
awful. This is hopeless. I mean, I did go in with an open mind.
You did?
Yeah.
And I've come out with a frustrated and bored mind.
Oh,
There were so many opportunities to make that interesting, and I feel like it failed at every hurdle. I'm really sorry to say.
Okay,
that has not won me over. In fact, I think it may have slammed me into reverse.
Oh dear.
On
well,
Joe.
we'll keep trying.
Good
Marks
luck
out
with
of
that.
5, please, Chris.
I'm going to go straight down the middle on that and say 3.
Yeah, I'm going to say 3 as well.
Yeah.
Jamie?
1.5. That is my lowest randomizer score, and
dear.
for good reason.
Oh, no.
I'm not. Honestly, I'm not. This is not for show or for fun. I just cannot find that interesting.
Yeah.
Because
fair enough.
he shows up seemingly for no reason. If they'd gone in with the pressure of I didn't want to go on this mission, but the guy under there is my father. He's in serious trouble. And then they try and keep failing, and the pressure ramps up, and Joe's messing it up, and Joe's going at greater risk. That
Joe
is to
doesn't
me.
mess things up.
Yes, he does. But that would have been much more interesting.
I suppose with limited time, you can't do the.
You could have done all that in the time.
Well, yeah.
Rather than the drivey and the fly and the sit roundy. I mean, no. In fact, 1.25. I've just.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Let's stop there.
it's
Stop the
sinking
count.
as we
Stop
watch.
the count. Well, Podsterons, what do you think? Let us know if you've seen or just sat through with us Joe 90, Relative Danger, what your thoughts are.
I'm so sorry, Podsterons, that you had to sit through that.
We'll talk to him after the show.
In the meantime, join us next week for more randomizers, a new interview with a special guest who'll be sitting in that chair, more Gerry Anderson news, and of course more from our Podsterons.
Hurrah!
Yay!
The only way is up.
And by then, we would have all enjoyed the concert?
Yes,
or
we
be
will have
about
done.
to?
We will have enjoyed the guests.
Yes, we will.
Yes.
All have.
So we'll see you the other side of the concert. Bye.
Goodbye.
1. Let's get started. Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
What are you looking forward to most about the concert?
Well, we've got a funny intro.
Yeah.
Funny intro.
Which I think will surprise people and delight them.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to that. And obviously I'm looking forward to Deadly Concerto.
Yes. Chris?
I think, as it wasn't played last time, and having heard it played by an orchestra before, and knowing it can sound wonderful, the Zero X theme. Yes.
For me, it's just that great communal feeling of sitting in a hall with hundreds of other people enjoying some great music being played by a fantastic orchestra. Yes.
All of the above.
All of the above. Great.
Wonderful.
Let's hope it doesn't disappoint.
Pressure's on now. See you in Brum.
Bye.
That was an Anderson Entertainment production.